Yeah, well, we tried. The internet wasn't great, but we tried. I think. Yeah, we saw some things. Oh wow. Hi. It's the governor. Are you with the governor's staff? Is he doing interviews?
He's not today.
Okay, not today.
Not right now, sorry.
Pretty cool. I'm happy about that.
All right. Post this bad boy back up.
All right. The boys stepped away for a minute.
Are we not live?
I'm not sure if we are. Let's see. Looks like we're live. Huh? If we're live, I'm having a hard time pulling chat up, so just bear with me. All right, everybody race to say something. If we're live, first one wins. Okay, you got a hill dog. It is live. All right, we got Glenda Goodmike. The boys are taking a little break. They stepped away. I'm not sure if we have anything lined up after this.
We may have something come later, but I don't have anything lined up.
Okay. What might be coming later? Okay. Let me Wow, it's really cool that we had absolutely nothing to talk about while all the mics were muted. Wow, if we had something to talk about, we could have shared it. Or maybe it was in relation to events that may be upcoming. Who knows? I guess we'll find out one way or another. Either absolutely nothing happens, or something ranging from somewhat interesting to the most interesting thing you've ever heard in your life happens. Who knows? Not muted? Oh my God. Just kidding, Sam. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. What a tease? Maybe it is a tease. Maybe it is a tease. Maybe it's not. We'll never know. All right. Well, it would be my misfortune that I would turn into a chair and talk to you guys now live. Yep, I'm the middle chair. I don't even get to fold. I'm an inconvenient chair, but slightly more, comfortable, sturdy. It's crazy out there. This is my first DNC, folks. It is an absolute circus. Everybody's so excited. There's so much energy on the floor. We had USA chants out there. I'm not sure how much of that you guys saw, but I mean, just so much excitement in the air. It is such an exciting time.
You want to interview me?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
I can tell we stopped over here like, boy, it was quick to stop.
I'm gonna go ahead and interview the PV CEO. Give you guys something to watch. All right, let's see. Go ahead and have a seat, and then I'll work on the framing. Go ahead and just pull one of those chairs aside. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. And then pull that one. Yeah. And then that one over a little bit. This is my boss, by the way. I'm just calling the shots. Yeah, I think we're good.
Over here.
Let's see. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna unplug this. It's over.
What's up?
Howdy doody. Sam Drismala, how are you?
I'm great.
CEO of Progressive Victory.
Yeah, executive director.
Executive Director.
Yes. Yeah, good to see you, Supreme.
Hey, it is good to see me. It's weird to see me. I don't know. I feel like I haven't been camera in a long time.
It's good to see you on camera again.
That's very sweet of you.
Yeah.
Are you a fan previously?
You know, I hadn't really been a part of the streaming space until I started colonizing it as a political operative. So I didn't watch your content or anyone else's content, but I've gone through the backlog since getting involved, and I am a fan. I am a fan.
That's really sweet of you. Even though I don't play any EU4 or any other map games.
Yeah, I'm a big Paradox guy.
Oh yeah. What was my content if you're such a big fan?
I used to see you do a lot of discussion streams with other creators, right? Like I'd see.
All right, easy answer. I'll give it to you. That's fine. All right. Well, I mean, is this your first DNC? It can't be. You've been in this game for a long time.
Yeah. So my background, I've worked in politics since I was in high school, and just as an intern and just knocking doors. Actually, the same thing that people are doing now for Progressive Victory, and I got my first election that I really worked on was 2004, and then I
John Kerry?
Yeah, John Kerry. I didn't work for Kerry, but I was working for candidates during that time, just again as an intern, and then I worked for Obama in 2008, and that was my big break, so to speak.
Yeah.
I worked for his what they called back then new media, which is basically everything on the internet was combined into one department. They're just like, well, this is something new. Like, go over there and do your thing.
Yahoo News at the time. I mean, what was it?
It was mostly email. Email, and we were getting people through email to do organizing things like door knocking in their local areas and phone banking and stuff like that.
Right on. Wow.
Obama 8 had really the first broad-based online phone banking tool. People were making thousands and thousands and thousands of calls a week, and we made that possible. And then the other thing was just how much money Obama raised online. It was the first time that a presidential candidate raised that much money online, and it made a really big difference in the race.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, online as a platform was just barely emerging back then. And
yeah, social media didn't exist. Twitter barely existed, and then after that, I went to work in Congress, and I happened to work for. I happened to get employed by a senator, my home senator from Missouri, at the time was Claire McCaskill, and she ended up being one of the most prolific uses of Twitter when it first sort of broke out into the mainstream for political content, and she was so good at it in comparison to her colleagues that when they did their first like DC tour before they'd even opened a lobbying office in DC. All of the Twitter execs went around to like the 3 top users of their platform in Congress, and my boss Claire McCaskill was one of them. And I forget the guy's. What's the guy that used to be the CEO of Twitter? Yeah, Jack Dorsey. I got to meet that guy like in 2009 when he made his first DC tour. At the time I was just like, oh cool, it's just like a tech company guy. I had no idea how big any of this stuff was going to get, but we had a lot of fun with it, and it just went from there. And you know, I would sort of like go out and work on campaigns, and I'd go back and work for elected officials, campaigns, elected officials, campaigns, and I work for elected officials, and then I just started seeing how the streaming space was blowing up, like especially during 2020, during so it was like a presidential race, and everybody, because of COVID. Everybody was just at home watching content, and I was like, wow, these people are legit. And I could see how much action they could generate, right? Like DGG was starting to do their Canvas events. I could see just how easy the platforms were to put asks in to get people to take actions, which is something that like on other social media platforms are like, you can't get anyone to take an action off of Instagram or something, or like,
especially if you came from email.
Yeah, exactly. So like as a political operative, all I'm thinking about is how can I get people to take actions, right? Like views are great. How can I get people to take action, right? And so streaming is the bee's knees. That's where it's at, which is why I've dove in and try to get involved.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, we came from the 90s, right? Where if you wanted 1 second on national television, it was like $1 million or something, right?
Yeah,
it was worth its weight in gold. Nowadays, there's so much broadcasted content, you can't even give it away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to bribe people to watch it with giveaways and whatnot. But I feel like there is a misconception. If you've got 70, 80 viewers, if you're able to turn that into 7 or 8 clicks, I feel like people underestimate how much that's really worth.
It is 100% worth a ton. And it's like, I think a big part of what I'm hoping comes out of this election is for the political world, the people that we have assembled here at this convention to really understand how powerful it is, and try to come up with a way to integrate that better so that the creators have the clout and the power that they're due, and so the political world has a way to draw in young people to keep like a pipeline of young people to get involved and run the campaigns. Like the people who you need to run campaigns are 22, 24, 26 years old. They're not 40-year-olds like me. We need young people to get involved, and the way that traditionally we've done that is by getting people to sign petitions and emailing them or texting them with mass texting. And young people now are too smart for that shit. Us like millennials, we're like, oh, you can take my email. I'll give you my zip code. Like, here, take my credit card info, right? Yeah. And Gen Z is too smart for that. They're like, oh, ad blocker. So you really need to have an authentic connection with someone you trust to help direct that flow of action for young people today, I think, so that they really trust what's happening. And then, and that's why I think that this group of influencers on this set of platforms is the way to get that pipeline of really committed young people to actually take action and take leadership, right? It's a two-way street. It's not just the party making use of young people. It's, I think, actually through the influencer and that like visible front person for the community, you get some negotiating power that you can say, okay, well, my community is only going to get involved if blank. What are you going to, what do you want out of this relationship, right? So that's really exciting, I think. We've never really had that before for young people, that kind of negotiating strategy.
Yeah, I mean, as someone, you got your start in politics in DC, working on campaigns when you were, what, like early 20s, I take it?
Yeah, I was in high school. So
High school?
Yeah, I would just walk in off the street and they'd be like, okay, here's a walk packet, have fun, kid.
Yeah.
Right? Like no one ever asked me what my political agenda was. No one asked me what policies I wanted passed. And I think that with influencers, young people have, specifically the influencers who can actually staff your campaign and raise you money, like you have the ability to dictate terms to a certain extent. Obviously there's a negotiation there. It's not a total dictation, but you can say these are my terms, and people sort of have to jump to your tune to a certain extent.
So, from that first day when you were in high school, putting that backpack on, till today, right now, it's been a long road.
Yeah.
But what does it feel like? Does it feel like just yesterday, or?
No, it feels like a long time. I mean, I have a much different relationship with politics now than I did then. It's I wouldn't say it's cynical. It's just a more sophisticated view of where the levers of power are. And I wish that someone had taught me about that earlier. Mm-hmm. And I wish that things had been there'd been an easier slope to knowledge and access for me. And I think that we're in an age where things are just there's so much urgency for new leadership, and such a steeper slope of how much we need to accomplish and how short an amount of time in order to get our country back on the right track, that it's almost imperative that we just educate, stuff as much knowledge as possible into young people, and then just hand the keys over, there's always I think the biggest issue that we have right now in general is trust. It's trust, between people who may want to get involved in politics and the politicians who may or may not have their best interests at heart. Trust between the politicians and other young people, right? And there needs to be a meeting of a sort of a tete-a-tete that happens over and over and over again, that where they're able to present their perspectives to each other, all the parties involved, and build the trust necessary to do big things. And if we're not able to do that, I'm afraid things are going to get really, really rough around here for a while.
I think where I was going with that question, you answered it a bit when you said, people are gonna be running these campaigns when they're 25, 26.
Yeah. It's a lot sooner than you think. The slope into campaign leadership is a really fast one. You've met Nate, our organizing director, who's here with us.
Yes.
That guy's not even 30 yet. I mean, he's only worked. I think he's on his third election cycle right now. Fourth.
That's crazy. So he started when he was 18?
I don't know.
30.
Yeah, right. He. But I'm saying, I don't know how old he is now. But my point is that he's still a young man, and he's considered a veteran at this point. And he's got a position of significant leadership with our organization, and he deserves it. Right, that you can earn that leadership very, very quickly if you get involved, and all you have to do is just be competent and be a go-getter. All you have to do is be entrepreneurial, see things that need to get done, and then just ask for permission to do them, and then go do them once you present a plan and get it approved. And people will just start shoving responsibility your way, even if you're 22, 23 years old, and
promotions.
Yeah, and promotions. You'll get 3 promotions on a single campaign if you start early and if you're competent.
That was a hard lesson for me that I didn't learn until kind of recently. I had the privilege of working amongst a lot of really talented, really smart people in my line of work prior to whatever I'm doing at a given time. I worked intelligence before, and so it was a lot of go-getters and credentialed and educated people, and I felt a little out of place, right? I felt like a fish out of water because I didn't have a formal education, only a couple of years of college or something like that. But re-entering the world outside of that, it's been a hard lesson. Most people, competency is a problem. That's why there are sayings like good help is hard to find, right? I think as long as you are really willing to put in the work, solve problems, not look for guidance to solve problems, but work to solve problems and communicate well, I feel like these are the 2 qualities that if you possess these, you're already rising above 95% of the workforce out there.
There's one more that is actually the most important thing, which is just the ability to handle pressure with grace. specifically, right? Within politics, it's just there's always a million things flying your way, and you can be competent at 100 things when you're not feeling stressed, but it's actually being able to handle the incoming and not panic and not freak out. That's the greatest predictor of success in politics. And I would say if you don't feel like you have that right now, or you're unsure, don't write it off. It's the type of thing you'll first of all, I'm a nerdy kid with ADHD who wasn't particularly socially apt, and I only discovered that I'm able to handle pressure when I was faced with it, right? And then that was actually a big confidence building exercise for me. It was like, I do have the ability to operate in the world and be a standout, right? And actually be someone who's worthy of trust from my colleagues and my superiors, and like be handed, like earn those promotions, right? And then so that's one thing. And then the other thing is it's something you're going to get a lot of practice at in a very low impact environment. Like if you like do panic once, you'll do it when you're an intern, and then you'll get more practice at it. And exercising that muscle of just taking more and more stress incoming to you, and then just like letting it wash over you and be okay with it, is actually like the greatest training for life that you could imagine. I think, like, now that I'm running an organization with an infinite home, and like a million other things going on in my life, it's only because of these like capacity testing that I did when I was younger in my professional life, and that I'm just like, okay, every time that I start to feel that panic rise, I'm like, I've handled this before. I just breathe, stay quiet, just take a few seconds, and then start to think about what the best way to engage. And that's actually a practice that you can learn. It's not something that's just a talent.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's hard. I can't relate with that. I love chaos. I thrive. To me, stress is like a huge motivator. I start gritting my teeth, and I start buzzing. It's bad. I can get addicted to it.
And there are a lot of people who they thrive in politics who are like that. That's not me, but also, for me, I didn't know that I had the ability to handle it until I tried. So
Sure.
it takes all types, and you really can't predict how you're going to react until you do.
Sink or swim, right?
Yeah.
At least if you sink, you'll know that there's probably a position at Foot Locker. Okay. So your focus on streaming space. Here's the last question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So you started when you were 18. Was it like present to you? Did you have a sort of like clairvoyant sort of image of the fact that you would soon inherit the world, that your generation was to soon inherit the world, much sooner than you might have thought, because you probably figured, if you were like me, when I'm 40 or 50, I'm going to be in charge.
Yeah.
But it probably happened a lot quicker than that.
Well, to a certain extent, it's that leadership changes are still happening, right? I mean, Biden is just now handed over the reins. Nancy Pelosi only a couple of years ago. So there is like a long curve in politics of people at advanced ages still holding on to power. So
to be president or to be a politician, sure, but
yeah.
I'm talking about just in an organization, like you said, running campaigns.
Oh, gosh, yes, okay, 100%. I had no idea how quick that would happen. And I would actually say that as far as, you can get responsibility at 25, 26 very easily on a presidential campaign or something. The group of people who I would trust most to have the best match of experience and knowledge of cutting-edge tactics that I would be shoving money at to in a campaign budget to just give them to run with are between 28 and 30 years old. It's actually has much more in common with, I don't know how much you follow football or other sports. It has much more in common with sports than it does in other office things, because it's really like an endurance. Politics is a very endurance-based thing. So yeah, it's like you have that right blend of experience. You've been around enough times to know how to apply your energy in the right way, and you have the hard skills at that point. But you're still young enough to operate at a fast pace, and so that if that's sort of the peak of your career. Then what I found in my 30s is that it was just like a long slope of trying to remain relevant. In terms of my actual knowledge of how we should be spending money in politics. And then, but at the same time, all the people who have the money and resources they wouldn't trust me to have it until I'm way advanced in my career, even though they don't realize that it's actually the 28-year-olds who know better than
You're
me.
in your prime.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they're in their prime. Yeah, 28. You get the technical proficiency, you get some life experience, and then that prefrontal cortex starts to, finishes up developing. You've got that capability of strategic thinking and multivariate analysis, and you become very, very powerful. And you're still healthy, you know, inshallah, right?
But I like being a middle-aged guy now, because it means that people are starting to trust me with more. More responsibility in the rooms that matter, and then I just get to put those. The more resources I can gather, the more that I can put it toward young people who should be developing and then actually running those programs.
Yeah, I'm enjoying being middle-aged too. We're getting there.
Yeah.
When I sit down, I make a lot of loud pain sounds, like ah, when I get up, and that way the people around me know not to take my seat because I need it. So I always have an open seat.
Yeah, be the squeaky wheel, the squeaky chair.
Yeah, well, that's my back is the squeaky chair. It gets up and it just. Okay, all right. Let's get some. Thanks so much.
Yeah. If you want to stop by and get involved, if you've in any way been inspired by what you've heard here, you should sign up at progress.win and start getting involved. We've got Canvas events coming up. We've got phone banks that we're setting up. We're doing relational organizing. There's a million things you can do to help Kamala Harris and the Democrats win, and you should be doing it right now. So get involved. Progress.win.
And if you want to see more content like this, it's not guaranteed to be on whatever channel you're watching now, because we're going to have a rotation of creators that come through various events. So make sure that you follow the Progressive Victory YouTube channel. Just search YouTube for Progressive Victory, and don't miss a thing, okay? We're going to get our regularly scheduled talent back on. Thanks so much for joining me,
Thanks,
Sam.
Supreme. Yeah, good to see you.
Saw the action versus the guy I'm gonna do the almost rush out of the real one.
Right. You all get to talk to Rick this hour?
We talked to his communications director.
Yeah, he's cool.
So here.
All right. Folks are taking a little bit of a break. I'm glad I could spend some time with you. It's been a while since I've been on camera. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was fun. And if you guys want to find me, remember, my name is Not So Erudite. You can find me on twitch.tv/NotSoErudite. I usually look a little prettier. I haven't shaved in a few days, so,
Do you need one of us to go sit on there?
if you want. You guys have been working hard all day, so I mean.
Yeah, I think we still have interviews coming.
You sure do, you sure do. Mr. Beat looks like he's got stuff to say. I'll sit with you, Mr. Beat. How's that?
Well, we may need you to stay out here because people are asking us, can we be mobile? Can we do stuff? Look,
Hold on a minute.
Sid, can you be portable for a possible interview with Jamie Harrison, the chairman of the Dem Party? So we may need you out here just to answer questions. So I don't know.
Hey, feel free to just yell at me.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless you want to sit.
No.
Talk to me. Okay.
I just want to be able to ask a question.
Sure. Sorry, excuse me. All right, I'm gonna interview you.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, all right. Mr. Beat.
We're live. Hello.
All right.
How you doing? Supreme. Hi, how you doing?
All right. I should
I love
probably
the
think of some questions.
All right.
Well, you're a YouTuber. You're a history teacher. Which came
Yeah.
first? Just kidding. Obviously, YouTuber.
Actually, I started out in broadcast journalism, so that's my traditional TV and radio is what started.
I feel like you would tell me the outlet.
Well, it was a local TV station.
Oh, okay.
KSNT in Topeka, Kansas. Shout out to Topeka, top town.
So it's like, okay, so it was like your local Channel 4 type thing, or was
Yeah.
it? Okay, wow.
I did like behind the scenes stuff, and then I was a DJ for different radio stations, and but the jobs kind of went away for that, so I decided to
Transition to the new medium.
Well, I had a midlife crisis, quarter life crisis in my mid-20s, and I was like, you know what? Maybe my mom was right. I should be a teacher, so I went back to school to become a social studies teacher, and then later on, ended up just kind of combining my skills to make history videos for my students in the classroom. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that movie, The Unbearable Weight of Talent?
No.
Okay.
It's a great title.
Yes, I've never seen the movie, but I know that title, and it's
Is it the Nicolas Cage one?
Yes,
Okay.
it's an incredible title, and I sometimes I've taken things in my life for granted, and then I hear stories like this, and I'm like, oh right, this is not like the average. You are not the average person. Like, no, first off, being on television at all, and then being a radio DJ, these are very competitive. Like the prime of radio shock jocks or what have you. But you were able to do this, and then eventually you're like, this isn't for me. My mom says I should go back to school to be a teacher, and you just did it.
Well,
do you ever think about like how that's not the average experience, or that you may have capabilities? Did you ever take that for granted, or have you always known you're a genius?
you're flattering. No, I honestly, like, it was kind of a crappy job, like, because I was getting paid right out of college. I was getting paid minimum wage, and like a lot of especially at the TV station, I was like, they're like, who's this guy? Like, comes in here. A lot of the guys that worked at the station that did what I did not have degrees. And I actually did know some things that they didn't know, but they didn't want to hear them.
What did you do at the station?
Basically everything except for be on the air. So I went out and shot video and reported on stuff. And then when during live broadcasts, I did the audio board and ran the cameras.
Okay.
Yeah. I was not director or anything. I had just,
tech director or something, or just like ran technical stuff?
Yeah.
Or okay,
yeah.
Cool. That stuff is actually really fun. If you have any inkling of like enjoying production. You said it really sucked.
Have you done that stuff?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
What am I doing here?
Well, I mean, yeah, but this is way more advanced. I don't know, like, to me, this is a whole new ball game because
I feel like this is simpler than before. We had the control rooms with the levers that made you feel like a Homer Simpson engineer, nuclear engineer or something. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I guess it was cooler than I'm making it sound. I think
Big, heavy
it
cameras.
was just the thing that I was getting married and I didn't make much money. That was what it was.
Yeah.
I did love it.
That'll do it. What
But-
about radio DJ?
Oh my gosh, it's so fun. Like, most stations are automated now. People don't realize that even a lot of the DJs you hear, they pre-record that stuff. Oh, we're here in the morning. No, you're not. You're like, and then also they're not local. A lot of these DJs you hear are syndicated, so just back when, especially when I was in college, like, they still have college radio stations where you can spin your own records, and it's actually things are curated by the DJ. It's pretty special and it's a lot of fun. That's kind of why I got into radio in the first place. But yeah, that's not reality anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah. When you were on the radio, were you taking calls?
Oh yeah, yeah.
How similar to that is streaming?
Oh man, it's totally very similar because you're taking requests, you're asking questions, you're doing a lot of times audience capture. Your audience is just like, you become captive to the audience, but to a lesser extent. But I would get calls, people legit like tuning in, and I mean, this was 2003, 2004, like, still, internet radio was still fairly new back then, and so yeah, a lot of people just listening on the old-fashioned radio, calling in.
So when you started making YouTube videos, you were already comfortable in front of a microphone. You already had your range figured out and knew how you wanted your voice to be and sound and whatnot.
Well, what helped me with my YouTube videos is the combination of teaching in front of teenagers for a little while, but also being on stage, because I'm also a musician. In my band Electric Needle Room, we oftentimes faced hostile
What do you play?
audiences. My main instrument's keys, so I had 8 years of piano lessons, and that's what I usually write songs on. But I also play guitar. I'm a mediocre guitar player, and a little bit of trumpet from my high school days, marching band, and sing.
Wow. Anything else?
Harmonica, no.
Yeah, viola, violin, double bass, all every string.
No, I'm not.
Guitar, I'm mediocre, but all right.
I'm a generalist. I'm mediocre at a lot of things.
Okay, so you went to school to become a teacher. Is it there that you started to sort of like procure your history knowledge, or were you always a history buff that then learned how to teach?
Yeah, I was into history when I was a kid. One of the first things that got me into history was just little presidential fact books, and I memorized the presidents and stuff. And then I watched Forrest Gump. I really got into that movie, especially when I asked my parents, I was like, did that stuff really happen? Like, all those people got shot? They're like, yes. I was like, holy crap, reality is better than fiction. So then I never went back to fiction after that. And then later I had a couple good history teachers that inspired me. But really, the reason why I didn't become a high school history teacher right off the bat is because personally I hated high school.
I mean,
Yeah.
Who actually, you know what? I was gonna say who loves high school, but I know plenty of people who were like really peaked in high school, and they talk about it like it was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Those poor folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should get better, folks. It should get better than high school. If you're in high school and you're not having a good time, just keep your head down, go to work, and you're gonna look back at high school and be like, what a useless, like, not useless, but you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna forget you ever cared. You're gonna forget, it's a
4
blip.
years. That's not much.
You're gonna forget you ever had feelings about it.
Yeah. Well put. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I think that as far as talk, I mean, all of us here, we're communicators first and foremost, and if you can't do that effectively, I mean, really most of the time you're just trying to constantly entertain people. So even when I'm educating them, I'm just like, you know, if I educate too much, like, you know, Kyla was over here earlier. I started talking about political history stuff, and then she started yawning. I'm putting you on the spot. She started yawning, and I was like, oh, I need to like redirect it because like it's only about a minute at a time. If you're not like interested in this stuff, like it's not your fault. So you've got to. It's up on the communicator to make up for that and like get them interested.
That's our job, and especially working in like traditional media and then radio, there's nothing. Even I feel allergic to dead air. It's like the worst thing. It's death. It's like creeping death taking over your body, and the only way to stave it off is to say something. You can like feel it. If there's like 10 seconds that go by, you don't say anything. You're just like, I gotta think of a joke. I gotta think of a joke. I'm gonna die.
Or with our technical difficulties, like. But sometimes that's good. You need a pause. Like sometimes we'll have a dramatic pause in a video because you know it's like somebody who's like, a lot of times people are listening, not actually watching, so they're like doing the dishes or whatever, and then there's a wait, is there a pause or something wrong with the video? But no, like sometimes you just need to like that little disruption to get their attention. Yeah.
All right. Well, how about politics? The entry into politics, is that a more recent thing, or did that kind of come part and parcel with history or your knowledge of history, or?
Yeah, it's always been there. I think most of the history that we learn is actually tied to politics. So I do frame it as a political history mostly because like my first big series was I did a video about every single presidential election in American history, wrote a book about it, and then so like I think the good thing about those videos is that it does also capture a bunch of other parts of history, social history, cultural, economic, yada yada. So
you kind of just had to learn it as a consequence of history, the political stuff, or were you also more interested in that?
Yeah, both. Yeah, because I mean, I'm still learning. That's the other thing.
So much
like,
to know.
Yeah, like so much of the videos I make, it's just like I'm just 2 weeks ahead of the viewer. But yeah, I've always mostly been interested in this stuff, and me being here at the Democratic National Convention is probably the best evidence you have that I'm deeply engaged with current politics, trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, there's a lot to know. You know, I just had Sam on, the executive director of Progressive Victory, the organization that brought us out here and is responsible for this production that you're watching now as well. And he said, you know, I wish there was a way to sort of smoothly and quickly endow the youngest generation, you know, people just out of high school with all the information, the political, you know, the politics stuff that they need to know. That took me so long and was like so unintuitive to learn. But I feel like that's a tall order. I don't know if that's possible because I feel like one, there's just so much to know. Two, like your cognitive faculties are still developing at that age, and it requires the ability to synthesize like a huge pool of information, like the size that is necessary to be able to really be able to comprehend and like take command of an arena like this. And then, three is that a lot of times information like that, it takes time to percolate. It's too much to ask yourself, I need to understand this in a year. Now, I feel like there's no wasted effort, right? Nobody was ever worse off, more prepared.
Yeah.
But it's also reasonable to expect that it's going to take some time for the egg to cook, you know? Is that been your experience? Is like getting into it was, well, like I guess you said you kind of learned a lot of it as a consequence from the history that you learned. So was it the case that you kind of understood after the fact, like, oh wait, hey, I kind of understand a lot of this like political stuff because of the history, or was it sort of mission driven? Did you work hard to understand it as quick as possible, or?
I think we're mostly driven by our values and identities, so that's kind of my own biases, I think, just as much, because like, you know, what you're interested in, but also what you care about. And then like, just to kind of bring it back what you were saying right before, I think it's really important to think about when you're younger, it's more important, most teachers will admit that they're really just teaching skills, because to expect them to remember huge amounts of information is ridiculous. Like, you need to refine those skills so later you can teach yourself. So critical thinking, it only happens when you're able to take care of those lower thinking skills, like master those first before you move on, and then you can learn anything. I mean, I feel like now there are certain subjects that I learn on my own because I'm finally interested in, like particularly science, like astrophysics stuff, through YouTube videos.
Sure.
And not only did I not have the interest when I was in high school in this stuff, but I also don't think I was capable because I didn't have the skills. So.
Which skills in particular?
You mentioned synthesizing information. That's a big one. Like evaluating information based on where it comes from, and a bunch of other factors.
Yeah.
I think being able to cross-reference, corroborate is a huge thing. But also, I think compare and contrast. So whatever new information it's entering your brain, being able to find a lot of things to compare or contrast it to. A lot of times when you're 15 years old, something new is entering your brain and there's nothing to connect to it. And so you're like, why does this matter to me? I'm moving on with my life. Screw that, yeah.
Wow, Mr. Big Brain, I expected you to just say math.
I still have a hard time. Yeah, there are shout out to Numberphile YouTube channel. That's one of the few that gets my attention with, the best YouTube educational channels like Vsauce. They trick you into learning. They can make anything relevant. Yeah, you like Vsauce?
Yeah, Vsauce is great for stuff in general. It's funny, you were talking about most of the history that we learn is politics, and that's true. I remember watching the most recent Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson, produced by Seth MacFarlane. It's so good, right?
Yes.
And it's a lot of history, and none of it is political, and that's why nobody has ever heard of any of it, right?
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, it is history. That whole first opening scene where he's trying to compare 1 year to the history of the universe. Yeah,
and we all know Newton. We all learned about Newton from history, but none of his exploits in astronomy or physics or science or anything we ever learned about. The revolutions that he's responsible for, the inventions that he made. We might have learned he was a smart guy who invented a lot of things, but so much mechanical history, astronomical history, that we just don't learn because it's just not politics. Like you said, most history that we learn is politics.
Yeah, and a lot of history is also framed around historical figures, these great people. And the reason why is because, it makes it relevant when we can connect to another human being. And so I always go back and forth. I do a lot of biography videos. I recently did a video about Harry Truman. And it gets people into a bunch of other stuff because they all of a sudden have this connection to Truman.
Yeah, the first vegan president.
Is that true?
If it was, I feel like you would know, so there's no way it's true.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. But that'd be cool if it was, I guess, yeah. But anyway, it's also
Don't give me too much credit, okay? I don't know a lot of things.
Yeah, but the problem with just you really want people to learn ideas and the lessons of these stories, so we don't repeat the mistakes, and so we also make better decisions in the future. But a lot of times that can get boring, so you got to reel them in with other stuff.
I feel like boring is often just it's a misnomer for lack of interest.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to a lot of information that's sort of conventionally considered boring has to be dressed up first.
Well, we're egocentric people. We mostly care about ourselves, and so we've got to get somebody interested. It's self-interest. You need to create self-interest. Here's why you need to learn this. Here's how knowing this information is going to help you. That's really what it is. And I failed doing that oftentimes. I just realized I don't do that enough in my videos.
It's so easy when you're interested in a thing and you start to make content out of it to try to make the clincher to be like, wow, isn't this crazy and cool? And, and you're like, oh, wait, not everybody thinks so.
And they're not even still with you. They've clicked away, within 2 minutes of the video,
But I feel like it does work, too. Being able to articulate why something is interesting, I think is really important to generating interest as well.
And also passion. I am passionate about this. I don't hide that. And I was like that in the classroom too. I think students were sometimes freaked out, like, why does this teacher care so much about this stuff? But eventually they were sort of like, oh, maybe if he's this worked up, maybe there's something to this, you know? So I think that's important too.
I don't know. I think that's tough to convince a kid, because I feel like when my teachers were excited about stuff, my first thought was just like, this guy is lonely. I don't know. This guy just has nothing else. He needs to play baseball, or so he needs a hobby. I don't know. But that is his hobby, and he's making it work for him.
Sometimes that is, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I don't think I'm lonely.
No, you mentioned being married. You're not lonely. You got two. I don't know if you're public about. Sorry.
Yes, I have 2 beautiful children.
Okay.
That's why I was immediately texting and calling to let them know, hey, I got to interview Sean Astin. Yeah.
That is so sick. Are they fans? Lord of the Rings
my
fan?
youngest is, and Stranger Things. So
Okay. Let's get a little more intimate, Mr. Beat.
Okay.
That's the opposite of more intimate. That's less intimate. Okay. So this is your first convention. This is your first time. Obviously, it can't be your first time going out into public and being recognized.
No, like it's happened before. Yeah, like my hometown, it's not very big, and a lot of people know that I live there, so that happens. And also, you know, like when I went to D.C., there's a higher percentage of people visiting Washington, D.C. that are into politics and political history, so it makes sense that they would recognize me there.
Okay, that makes sense.
And in here too, yeah. So,
when I went to like acting school, I had this acting coach that was a really brilliant guy, and one of the things that there's this acting process. Have you studied any acting?
not really.
Okay, there's this process where to figure out your character's motivation, right? It's what does my character want? Why do they want it? Those are like the 2 big questions, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And you'd like to turn this on the prospective actors and say, now ask yourselves that question, right? You're studying acting. Why? Probably because you think you're going to make a lot of money, right? That's a hard lesson for a lot of especially beginner actors. But also because you probably want a lot of fame. Why do you want fame? Well, it's probably because you want love. Lots of people have infamy. Lots of people are notorious, right? They have a lot of notoriety, but they don't get a lot of love. Not many people are after that kind of fame.
Yeah.
So the fame that most people want is that they really just want love. They want the love and respect of many, many people. I have this feeling, watching the way that you've dealt with this, that you did not consider that. That is not why you got onto YouTube, because your reaction to all this is just like, it looks to me like you feel like you don't deserve it, and you never expected it.
Oh, I absolutely do not deserve it. Like, I'm just a schmuck. Like, it is ridiculous. I think fame in general is ridiculous. But when I was younger, yeah, did I aspire for fame? I think that to a certain extent, absolutely. Like, but now that I'm a Z-list celebrity, I'm just like, yeah, like what the heck even is this? I don't know. I do feel like definitely uncomfortable with it. Yeah.
Yeah, especially I can understand it's not like a YouTube convention. We're at the DNC, and this guy could not take 2 steps on the floor without being stopped for somebody by a picture.
But I guess like it's just it is inspiring to see all the. I mean, a lot of them were delegates. They're talking, or they're not talking the talk. They're walking the walk, as I think Hillary Clinton said. Who said that? Somebody said it last night.
I was in bed. I went to bed early.
Yeah, so in some ways I feel like, man, I'm in my basement filming videos, and you're actually out there in the world changing it, But at the other time, I guess, yeah, they wouldn't get these ideas unless creators like us, actually, broadcast these ideas.
Yeah, I would say,
education.
Credit where it's due. There's a lot to be said about being able to inspire people, which is a big part of what you do. But you're right, there are a lot of unsung heroes. Like, the work that goes into making and editing a YouTube video is not very different from the effort that goes into lots of different jobs. You're just present, you're just visible in a way that most people aren't.
Yes. I do edit all my videos, and I know, and you do this. It's a lot of thankless work for a lot of people. I love it. I love it, the editing part. That's why it's hard for me to give it up, because it's like part of telling the story. But yeah, how many people are behind the scenes that don't get the same attention? It's so weird.
Or people that just don't even work in showbiz, like delegates.
Here's the thing. I made a video about this on my other channel, The Beat Goes On. They're like, most pop singers don't write their own songs, or if they do, it's like there's a team. I mean, these songwriting teams are they're geniuses. They're coming up with brilliant pop songs, but no one's ever going to know who they are. And so it's frustrating. I kind of get angry about it sometimes because like we glorify people who just happen to be the face of whatever the art is. So that's another reason why I feel weird. Like, you know.
Who is it?
Although I do all of it, so I guess that maybe makes it better.
Yeah, that's true. You do all your own editing, but I suppose that like, you probably also feel like, well, all the information I have is because other people wrote books that I had to read, and
That,
like, yeah.
my support network of my family. Shout out to Mrs. Beat, who like basically like, I mean, she's my rock. If I didn't have that emotional support, I wouldn't be able to make videos. So like, what the heck? I mean, what even is this?
She doesn't get stopped in public.
Yeah.
And that's your fault. That's your fault.
Yeah, she wouldn't want to though.
You should feel bad.
That's the thing. She would hate it, and that's the thing. I can handle it. I'm fine with that. There's a lot of people that it would actually mortify them. I really think so.
I understand. Yeah.
What
yeah.
if it happened to you? What would happen to me in there? Like, what if it happened to you? How would you feel about that?
So I'm fairly little known. There's one or two communities where most people know me, or
Yeah.
I'm like fairly well known, right? Destiny's community, like people know me pretty well because I've hopped into a stream a bunch of times. So two of the other, some of the other canvassing operations that I've been to, I have been recognized by a lot of people. And me, it's so funny. I've had two experiences. I feel like we have a lot of time to kill, so I can tell these stories.
Yeah.
There's two experiences. One is one that I've heard of, and one is one that I witnessed. One was like, I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I always heard about how some Star Trek actor, I can't remember who, like somebody was sort of disillusioned. It was a never meet your heroes moment when they went to go, meet this guy at a Star Trek convention, and he was just sitting there with this like 10-gallon tub of hand sanitizer, and people would come up and be like, oh, can I get the autograph, whatever, and he'd give the autograph, and then he just in his hands and be like, next, like, I gotta talk to the bugs, And the second was I was on an airport shuttle with an unnamed film star of medium to large size fame. I lived in Hawaii for a little while, so we get a lot of celebrities that come through. And there happened to be a movie that they were filming in Honolulu, and I was on one of the neighbor islands, Kauai, and I was like returning a rental car, and like the shuttle went between the different rental car spots, and I guess one of the stars was getting on that shuttle to go to one of the companies to rent a car because he had just arrived at the island. And I remember it was me and my girlfriend, who's Chinese. I don't know why that's important. No, because like she wouldn't have known who he is, right? Because we're speaking Chinese to each other. And but he's like with his family. He's with his wife and his child. And at first, I'm thinking like, I don't recognize him because he doesn't look the way that he normally does in movies. Oh no, our battery's dead. Can we change the battery real quick? Sorry, hey, we're gonna change. Can we change the battery? Can you just? Actually, it's right here. I know, right in the middle of my story.
A couple of minutes.
Give me 10 seconds, folks.
To mobile.
Okay. Yeah, actually, if you would just hold this for me. Sorry, folks. That's what happens. That's what happens. You spend all day filming. This is going to actually... Okay. This is perfect. We got a brand new fresh battery for going mobile, too. Go ahead. Pop that bad boy in. And close it. And then, let's see. Yeah, just go ahead and actually we need to refix this bad boy right here. Whoa, they're getting a nice big shot of my mug. Actually, I'm not sure if it's coming through. Can you hold this one?
Yep. Is it coming through?
All right. Come on.
Gosh.
Pop that down here. All right. Now, let me go over here. Bam, there we go.
Test. Making sure we got audio. Oh man, you're in the middle of that story.
Where were we? Okay, we're on this bus, and this guy, this celebrity, this actor guy, we're trying to figure out if it's really him. But I'm looking like out of the side of my sunglasses. There's no way he can see that I'm like staring at him, right? And he's like burying his face into his phone, and he's just like visibly trying to hide more and more into his phone, and like he's freaking out. I can tell he's sweating bullets because he thinks he's being recognized, and he just doesn't want to deal with it. And the bus stops at the shuttle place, and by the way, his wife is like looking at us and waving like Princess Diana, you know, or something. So. The shuttle stops, and he jumps up, and he's like, come on. And he like jumps off the bus, and like, he did not want to be recognized. And my only thought was like, well, how does this guy go to the grocery store? You know, because he's a pretty famous guy. I'm not gonna name him, but so at the time I thought being a celebrity must suck if it's capable of driving people to that level of anxiety in such a no pressure situation where there's even a low chance of being recognized, and there's one other person on the bus. You know what I mean? So. Now I've had the, I think, great fortune of being recognized in public by people in a niche community. And for me, it has only ever been like a magical experience. It's everything everyone ever dreams of when about becoming famous or whatever.
Parasocial relationships, similar interests. That's why every time I talk to somebody who views my channel, it's like, I love it. If I like have an extended period to talk to them. So I think we're lucky. It's different because of the format.
We're not movie stars.
Twitch or YouTube, because you have that more intimate connection with your audience. Whereas a movie star, like they don't know their
general
audience at
appeal.
all. Yeah.
Or they know them as someone completely different. You don't pretend to be somebody different. You're Mr. Beat, which is something you're used to being called by, your students.
Yeah. I'm stuck with that name now too. Yeah. It's like you're stuck with yours.
And your personality is just your genuine personality. You're not playing a character. You're not going to be bombarded by a stupid catchphrase or something that you resent, that you were forced to read off a script or what have you.
Other than Mr. Breast, give me money. Yeah, that's usually the meme.
How do you feel when you hear that?
Oh, I always laugh. Somebody said it.
Continue to always say it to him, is what he's saying.
Yeah, it's funny.
All right,
Never gets old.
We're going to have to go mobile because I think we got another interview. Parting thoughts. Let's hear them.
Stay curious out there, my friends. And I love talking to you. You're an awesome person.
That's very sweet.
So
you've been incredible this whole event, so thank you.
I'm sorry I didn't know who you were before this.
I like being kind of a secret guy, So
yeah, he's a big deal.
All right. We're gonna switch things up. Don't go anywhere. Stream's not going dead.
No, we're not going anywhere.
Never mind. I'm gonna sit back down and entertain you, maybe, or no. Wait, what's happening?
You guys, there's nothing else tonight. I think at 8. 9 is when Michelle begins to speak. 10 is when Obama speaks. So if you want to be there for the call, you can wrap up. You guys can keep streaming if you want to, but
Yeah, I think we're good. We've been working all day.
Yeah.
You guys, are you not entertained? Have you not been fed? Okay, go do some laundry. Okay.
yeah, you guys.
Goodbye.